Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another rendition of the All We Do Is Talk podcast. We're here to review week 13. It was a great week for my Panthers. Didn't lose. Victory.
You out here sounding like a Browns fan or a Jets fan?
I'll take it any way I can get it.
Right in time to study for the draft, perfect time to start looking at draft players. Watch some bowl games and
see who gets the best competition.
Watch the Senior Bowl.
Game.
It's all coming together. Draft board's coming together nicely. All right, boys. So let's start with the Thursday night football game where Moody's Dallas Cowboys reached hell against Taysom Hill, winning 27-17.
Those look like two teams that just played their third game in 12 days.
Excuses already?
What are you talking about excuses? We won the football game. I'm not gonna make excuses for winning the football game.
That's why we got back football.
It was a short week, and those teams have been playing with short weeks for a month. They are brutalized, beaten, and that's what they looked out there. And then Taysom Hill's finger getting hurt made it even worse. The Cowboys defense squeezing on an offense that has no talent on the field. Like, what could the Saints have done on offense? They don't have any good players out there. The Saints defense kept them in it for as long as they could. The Cowboys offense was able to make enough explosive plays to put enough points on the board to win the game. The the D tackle pick six obviously put the cherry on top, but there wasn't much to say here. The Saints offense is brutal without any weapons out there. So how can they score enough points to win football games?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing the Saints did was the Taysom Hill quarterback power.
Yeah.
And then, other than that, when he hit his hand and hurt his finger, the finger injury is coming for people this year. He just started throwing picks left and right. Not very good performance after that. Now he's hurting. They've had Trevor Siemian, they threw him back to the bench. He's a backup quarterback. But Jameis is hurt. Taysom's been hurt multiple times this year because he does a lot of things. So their season's over. I'll say it right now. This week, a lot of people found out that their season's over. The Saints season is probably over. And as for the Cowboys, good defensive game. Ferocious defense hurt quarterbacks. That's what ferocious defenses do. And offensively, they looked a little off kilter, mainly because guys have been in and out of the lineup. But a full week of everybody playing, everybody got through the game.
Yeah, no injuries on the offense for that.
Great catch by Malcolm Gallup. Great play by what's the receiver that made the explosive garbage time play for the Saints?
Oh, Deontay Harris. Who got Deontay Harris made the 70-yard touchdown. That was Deontay Harris.
Good play by him. I don't know
who got suspended immediately, and he's out for 3 games after a DUI. So
okay, and he was feeling himself. But I mean, it's a bad primetime game, which we got a lot of those to talk about.
What I took out of this game, I think Tony Pollard is your RB1. Personally,
no. They pay their RB1.
Is Tony Pollard getting paid $90 million there?
I don't care.
No, not $90 million. He can't be RB1. It's not in his contract.
RB1 could watch from the sideline as Tony Pollard puts in work. They mix and match a lot.
But Zeke was fine until he clearly has had an injured knee, and they keep carrying his corpse out there for some weird reason. I don't know why. Maybe he worried about not being RB1 no more.
But yeah, I also liked how the Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb involved in different ways. He had an explosive run for 33 yards. It was good to see him back on the field. Amari Cooper inching back, getting a little playing time. But yeah, that defense did what they were supposed to do against Taysom Hill. I don't know why the Saints keep extending that man, but
they give him more money. Every chance they give him more money.
But it's not real money.
They
just tack a year on and finesse.
But how come every year we hear, hey, Taysom Hill's out here signing another extension? He's on like his 5th deal.
He signs fake deals. He signs fake 1-year deals. That tells you what type of player he is. He signs fake. He's a one year to year player. And he's a good player for what his role is. His role isn't starting quarterback. It's running. His role is the running secondary option.
The problem is he's spent the last 2 years doing a lot of starting at quarterback.
Yeah, It was good. It was a good role when Drew Brees was there. It's just now they need to go get a quarterback. Those are hard to find.
No doubt.
Anything else, Eric?
No. So let's move on to the biggest blowout of the weekend. The Indianapolis Colts shut out the Houston Texans 31-0.
Yeah, not much to say here. Colts came out here with the run game. They got up early and they stayed up the entire day because Houston never scored any points.
for the second time, and the first team ever, Houston has been shut out by 30+0 twice this year, which is the first team ever to do that. So congratulations on getting into the record books. And as for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, you will be on the MVP watch list.
But yeah, I'm surprised on Jonathan Taylor. He didn't get a single catch this game. Obviously, they didn't need to use him in a vast amount of ways, but I would have thought they would have given him a few more targets and such. But
they weren't throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Also, Tyrod Taylor has been turning the ball over a lot.
He regressed. That early season, September, Tyrod Taylor's gone. We're back to regular Tyrod Taylor.
But now he's turning the ball over a lot. He's trying to do too much, but they're bad. So I can see why
Tyrod's gonna gotta be a playmaker.
He's gonna have a job next year. So he's not nothing to lose here, right? Just trying to show people stuff, but he clearly don't got it.
But yeah, even with the Colts, I really like this team except the quarterback. I think this team could go on a deep run, but they go as far as Carson Wentz can take them. But yeah, I really like the construction of this Colts team. And if they stay hot, there's not many teams that want to see them in the playoffs. All right.
I think they're missing a player. I think they're missing a player on both sides of an impactful player on both sides of the ball. That's what's keeping. They probably need another receiver and another.
They definitely need another. They're in the playoffs. It's going to be too easy to take away Jonathan Taylor and make Carson Wentz beat you.
Yeah, so all they got is Pittman at receiver.
So you got to have another playmaker on offense to scare people in the playoffs. And yeah, defensively they don't have other Kenny Moore or Nichols. Their best corner.
They need another receiver, another corner.
An outside receiver, Jamar Chase type of player will kill you in the playoffs if you're stuck playing with.
But that's how they chose to build their team from the inside out. So they're going piece by piece.
If you're trying to win a championship, those are the hairs you got to split.
Yeah, they're gonna fight. They have next offseason, but yeah, I think they're out of the playoff hunt as of right now. They're game out.
They're right there in it.
Everybody is in the East.
All right, so let's move on. Congratulations to the Detroit Lions for catching the W. Cover gods, beating the Minnesota Vikings 29-27. Congratulations.
Clap it up.
Jared Goff, first win without Sean McVay. It's a great week to be a Lion.
And of course it came against Kirk Cousins. Because who else would give such a beautiful gift?
Early this year in our preview, we all discussed that Kirk Cousins would be the guy that they'd be looking at.
But congratulations to the Lions. Obviously, their offense played a great day. They got up big early, 20-6. Jared Goff was easily his best game of the season. His most productive. I don't know about ever. I've seen him perform in playoff in high pressure playoff
today.
Games.
There wasn't that many great things around.
He was also the quarterback of the Rams against the Chiefs on that Monday night. So
it was like Jared Goff got some clout to his name.
When his defense scored 2 defensive touchdowns
in that game, he got the victory.
But he did play his ass off.
He didn't give up 14 points on defense on offense. But for the Lions, they just grit and grinded it. Found a way to just put enough points on the board to win the game. Minnesota clearly didn't show up today. I think that's
I think they did.
I think early on it took them a little while. They had one good drive, but other than that, they had a hard time moving the ball. Detroit in the first half, they looked sluggish. Cook was out, but you still expect Madison and those guys to be able to move the ball. It's just they're a more talented team than Detroit, but they came out like they could just show up and win. I think this is definitely the end of Mike Zimmer's tenure in Minnesota. You hate to see it, but his conservative, not wanting to win or lose by more than 3 game plan, it's going to continue to cost his team. For the first time, they didn't lead by 70, though they did lead at the end of this game. But his defense gave up a long touchdown drive to Jared Goff at the buzzer. That's unacceptable.
That doesn't even sound real.
That is just unacceptable. The Jared Goff game-winning touchdown to Amon St. Brown, it can't happen. It just can't happen. The Vikings, even though they're in the hunt, their season's done. They're gonna have to blow that up.
Justin Jefferson, he was doing his job. Clearly, the only piece that I think, and the offensive line piece that they have that they could keep and move forward with for the next whoever is coming in to blow this up and start over. Probably gonna need to get a new quarterback and new everything else around. But they have offensive line pieces and a receiver in Justin Jefferson. They were good. But that was about it for people that were being good or even above average for the Minnesota Vikings. Defensively, yeah, it's an F- when you get shredded by Jared Goff to TJ Hawkinson to any running back in the flat to Amon St. Brown. And yeah, it does.
Josh Reynolds, just abysmal.
No, so and Mike Zimmer's a defensive guy, so yes, he has no future here in Minnesota. And as for Kirk Cousins and the offense, they did have chances to put the game away on the final drive, and they didn't convert. And it's game of inches, and you pay a quarterback guaranteed money like Kirk Cousins to go win that game you got to go win games against the Detroit Lions. That's the bare minimum. You can dig as many holes as you want against the Detroit Lions, but you got to get out there if you want to say you're a big.
I mean, they got out of it. They had the lead.
But they had a chance again.
They let Jared Goff too much time. They let Jared Goff too much time. You can't leave Jared Goff too much time apparently.
They should have put that game away and not give Jared Goff the ball back. But yeah, it sucks for the Vikings. And as for the Lions, they still suck. And luckily for them, they got to win. They don't need to win anymore, and they're winning the tank war. So.
Yeah,
I think we talked about this game more than I thought.
This was a classic Kirk Cousins game. 30 for 40, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. What the hell? It's classic.
Because he made the bad plays when they just didn't need to occur.
Yeah, and I mean Justin Jefferson had an elite game. And yeah, I'm so happy for the cover guys. All right, so let's move it on to the Dolphins and the Giants, where the Dolphins came out on top 20-9.
All right, so we can talk about the worst game of the day. Yeah. Classic New York Giants football. You get an NFC East slugfest. We always said that these teams matched up toe-to-toe, but here's the kicker. The Giants chose to play with their backup quarterback, not choose, but had to play with their backup quarterback, and Mike Glennon is pretty bad. And he got hurt at the end of the game, so he couldn't even make it through the full game. I mean, make it to the next game. Defensively, the defense played as good as they can. They just let up Dolphins just run RPO all game long. It's literally what they did. And the Giants, they moved the ball. They got here and there. Mike Glennon would make some throws. Penny Galladay was getting targeted, so of course he got hurt. No Sterling Shepard, no Kadarius Toney still. Saquon Barkley looked aight. Devontae Booker looked aight. I thought they should have ran the ball more, but of course they chose that today was the day to throw the ball 40-plus times with Mike Glennon, which you're not winning no game like that. And defensively, I feel sorry for the defense because I thought they played a decent game, but they were on the field trying to carry an offense that wasn't going to score a touchdown. So.
Yeah, I'll start with the
Good game for Tua.
Good game for Tua. I'll start with the Dolphins. Tua was really, really efficient. Him and Jalen Waddle have really picked up their chemistry. Waddle left with cramping a little bit, and their offense slowed down because of it. They had a hard time really just ending the game in the fourth quarter without him. But the Dolphins are rolling. Their defense is finally seem like they're healthy and playing the way that you expect them to play. Xavier Howard caught a pick here because Mike Glennon just kept throwing the ball in double coverage every opportunity he had. But the Dolphins defense just came out there and they made enough plays to win the game. They didn't let the run game get loose. Saquon was buried for most of the game except for one explosive run. Same with Booker. Evan Ingram ate him up a little bit underneath because somebody had to make some plays, but
he's having a good season.
But the Dolphins defense was never really threatened. For the Giants, it's just you saw what they were playing with. That's not a team that's going to go out there and win football games with Mike Glennon and whatever else is out there. Like Kenny Galladay had a great start. Good, he had 3 catches on the drive. They were moving the ball. Then of course he left the game, didn't come back.
He came back.
Okay, well, either way,
even more
either way, just this game went about as expected. I thought the Dolphins would cover,
no bad turnovers.
Yeah, and the flags were down too. So this is a game where I thought the Dolphins would win, and the under would hit because neither team would be able to score that well. It went about as expected, and both teams can move on. Dolphins are going to fight for a playoff spot,
and the Giants
are going to hope and pray they can get 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great growth game for Tua. I mean, you're seeing a little bit of a progression for him throughout this season. Another great game for Jalen Waddle. I mean, the Bama duo is building something. So it was good to see. Hopefully Dolphins fans aren't shitting on Tua. But yeah, good game overall, and Giants stink.
We beat you out though. That's all. Just remember that.
But I've said my team stinks, so. All right, so let's move on to probably the saddest game for the over. Falcons hosting the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers win 30-17. How did this game not hit the over?
That's just how Tom Brady does it.
It only got close because of a pick six.
Yeah, at the end of the half. This game was 30-17, but it wasn't nearly this competitive.
I just want to point out that even though they were up all day, Tom Brady threw the ball excessively.
Well, we know this. The Tom Brady is the type of quarterback, and now the Bucs are built to be the kind of team where they can just throw the ball every play and be productive, and it won't matter. The running game doesn't matter when it comes to Tom Brady. He can use it if he wants to, but he can just go out there and complete most of his passes to get the ball to his playmakers on extended run plays, screens, short plays, stuff like that.
Just got to make sure they're playing the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, their offense is really, since they got Gronk back, their offense is tuned up. But they scored 30 plus in like 3 straight since that bad Washington performance.
Who did they play?
They played Indianapolis in one of those games, and they scored 38.
Yeah.
So
Indiana gave somebody out.
Tampa Bay looks like they're getting their groove back. All of their DBs were back in this game as well. Their defense looked more like itself, even though they gave up a monster game to Russell Gage. But overall, just a handling a bad opponent on the road in a division where it's time to start jostling for that playoff position. It's time to start picking your game up for the playoffs. Tom Brady has the Bucs right where he needs them to be.
Yeah, this is why he's the MVP right here. 368, 4 tutties. Leonard Fournette is revamping this year. Like, it seems like he's getting stronger as the year goes on. Using him out of the backfield, his receiving has definitely picked up this year. Like, in his younger years, his catching ability was definitely a lower tier for running backs, and he's picked it up, and that's how you got to be if you're a running back for Tom Brady. You got to be able to catch the ball. As for the Falcons, I don't know. They're kind of stuck in purgatory. They don't know if they want to be good or bad. I think they need to bottom out and just build it back up. But that's their choice. Cardell.
I will say they were turning the corner before Calvin Ridley left. They were doing that. Offensively, they were getting better. And their offense has not been even remotely dangerous, with the exception of Scordell. You know, he still puts in his work, but
it's just they can't get the ball to Kyle Pitts consistently.
Well, not
that's their biggest problem. You still got to find a way to creatively get your man the ball. You got to just find a way. He's supposed to be a Calvin Johnson type of prospect. I see Calvin get doubled to make plays. Like, he's got to go out there. You drafted him for double team, should not be taking him out of the game plan.
But I don't see him open.
You got to get him open. You got to find a way. He's supposed to be. You dropped him at 4 for a reason. He's supposed to be this unbelievable play anywhere chess piece. He can't be getting taken out of the game.
I just think in his rookie season, he's not just going to be destroying double teams as
that's why I think Arthur needs to do a better job helping him. That's what I'm saying. I think they aren't doing a good enough job at scheming him open.
Yeah, because I think they were doing a good job when Calvin Ridley was playing.
Yeah, so now you got Calvin Ridley's gone. You got to pick him
Most
back
teams
up.
don't like to lose their number one receiver.
No one does.
It's also a problem when Russell Gage is your leading receiver. But
yeah. Like, they don't have another receiver on their team. Like, they lost Calvin Ridley, and then the precipitous drop to Cordell Patterson. Yeah. He's their number one running back and number one receiver right now, and that's good for Cordell. He's gonna get paid.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Gardner Minshew game, where the Eagles beat the Jets 33-18.
Just a pathetic performance from the Jets defense. Like, it didn't make any sense why they just got manhandled like this, but it's the Jets. But it's the Jets. And at the end of the day, that's just what this was. The Eagles, even without Jalen Hurts, are far superior to the New York Jets. That's why the Jets have never beaten them in their franchise history. It wasn't close in this. It was closer a little bit in this one. The Jets had it kind of competitive. Elijah Moore had a good first half, but the Eagles just ran all over them. Gardner Minshew was efficient with the football, and the Jets just continued to look pathetic. Zach Wilson did look good, though. Corey Davis getting ruled out for the season is a bummer. That's another weapon that's taken out of his hands. But Zach Wilson showed some good things. He made some good throws against a quality pass defense. But the Jets just aren't talented enough right now to really compete with teams that are trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson wasn't shitting on himself out there. He was playing good, above average.
I thought he had a good game.
I was still surprised though, because I picked, even with Jalen Hurts expected to play when we made our picks, I picked the Jets to cover. I didn't think their defense would just get shredded, but clearly they got dominated in the trenches because the Jets aren't good in the trenches, and the Eagles are a top 5 team in the trenches, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, and actually probably there's some good defensive lines in the NFL, but the Eagles are out there, top 10 for sure. So, I mean, they just beat them in the trenches because the Eagles, like I said earlier in the season, like they could be good off the fact of that for most times when they line up to play, they're going to win the trench war. And that's 75% of the game, really. So, good for the Eagles. Good that they won with their backup quarterback, creates some controversy, but neither of us believe that they're really going to be going forward with Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew to go.
It's not a real competition. So.
If I rank both quarterbacks, they'd probably be both in the bottom third, relatively close. So, I mean, tough. Good for Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania is back. You know, he could sell some more shirts, this time to a new city. I mean, good for his profits. Like, I can't be mad at him. He's going to make some money.
He's going to get paid to be someone's backup quarterback, and he'll have a long 10-year career.
And even crazier is they only traded a 6 for him.
Yeah.
What they got for Joe Flacco. So sucks. That just tells you what type of franchise we got here. The Jets trade a 6 for Joe Flacco. And the Eagles traded 6 for Gardner Minshew, and he then used Gardner Minshew to beat the Jets.
I mean, yeah, this game definitely gave Gardner Minshew another 3 years in the league at least. I mean, they're gonna see this. I mean, I would have told Kevin White to fake an injury after he threw for 400 yards. Be like, oh, I'm done for the year. I'm getting paid in the offseason. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles are their most dominant when they're running the football. Like when you have Miles Sanders going 24 carries for 120 yards. I mean, that's when they're at their best. I mean, that's when anyone's at their best, but especially for the Eagles who really rely on the run game. Dallas Goddard had a great game. I mean, he was dominant today with 6 catches, 105 yards, 2 tutties. I mean, he was really good today. Yeah, I mean, it was also good to see from the Jets' perspective. They finally got their offense going in the first half. They've been a terrible first half team. And it was good to see them on their first drive to go down and score a touchdown. I know they had an explosive kick return, but to finish it off with points is a good sign for the Jets. So let's keep it moving to the Cardinals going to Chicago. Cardinals won 33-22.
I really don't know how Chicago ended up making this an 11-point game, but they were never really in the game. Andy Dalton had a rough performance. Not all the turnovers were on him, but 4 picks is 4 picks.
On his record.
4 picks is 4 picks. If you throw 4 picks against the number 1 team in the NFC and the team with the best record in the NFL, you're going to get handled. David Montgomery looks back, looks healthy, looks good, but Andy Dalton just isn't the answer, especially with a bad offensive line and a rough receiving core. So you don't expect Chicago to really be able to do a whole lot on offense. Hopefully Justin Fields can get back and make that at least interesting to watch on that side of the ball. For Arizona, Kyler and Nuke were back. On the first drive, they walked down the field, kicked a 20-yard touchdown in the red zone, and that's all they need to show. Kyler looked healthy. He ran well. He ran for a couple touchdowns, I think, where he hadn't been running all year. So that was really good to see him being back and healthy. They didn't really have to use DeAndre Hopkins that much because they got up early and just handled them all day long because they were just playing a much better football team.
Yeah. Arizona's 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
No, 9-2.
I think they're 10-2.
It might be up to 10-2. And the Bears are 4-8. And that's what we got. And even make matters worse, like you said, Justin Fields is out. And so we got to see Andy Dalton, a stationary target, just get mollywopped around. Chandler Jones had a big game. I saw their interior guy, Phillips, was having a big game. Stopping the David Montgomery did have a good game, which good for him. He good, talented back. But Andy Dalton had a hell of a day, just being abused. And Chicago has bottom 5 offensive line, bottom 5 set of weapons. Very disappointing season for Allen Robinson. And
I think he's hurt right now.
He's hurt too. But in general, because he's on the tag, so it sucks for him because he was having good years all prior to this. And I can't be mad at it because the New York Giants have the Chicago Bears pick. So
it's all good.
Keep clap it up. Clap it up. Eric, how you feel about Arizona versus Chicago?
I mean, yeah, this game went how it should have. But I mean, it was good to see Kyler and DeAndre get back out there. They had a touchdown with 2 catches. So, I mean, you can clearly see that they're connected. James Conner keeps running the ball well. And if James Conner keeps doing that, I mean, their offense is going to be lethal because
they're supposed to be getting Edmonds back next week off IR too. So they're going to have just another weapon to add to that offense.
Yeah, I mean, so if you have a running game to go with this elite passing, I mean, it's gonna be a tough thing to stop in the playoffs. All right, moving on, we will go to my lock of the week, which, wow, Chargers go into Cincinnati and clown the Bengals 41-22.
It's no shame in missing that. I think we all picked Cincinnati to go win the game here, and they just shat on themselves to start the game. They turnovers, unforced plays, they came out very, very sloppy against a football team that needed somebody to do that. The Chargers getting that early confidence in their offense and in their team was huge for them. For some reason, they couldn't run the ball with Joe Mixon, even when they got back into the game, they had a hard time doing it. And then, of course, the Joe Mixon fumble that practically ended the game in the second half. For the Chargers, their offensively, Justin Herbert was fantastic. He looked right back to himself. This on again, off again thing he's been doing, where he performs well, then just looks like a rookie. It was a good side of him today. Jalen Guyton made an appearance for the first time really this season with some explosive plays. Mike Williams was really, really good in this game too. He had over 100 yards. They got Austin Eckler involved. The offense as a whole just really, really clicked, and they scored 41 points. They took advantage of every turnover they got from their defense, and they got out to the big lead, and they never gave it up, even though it did get kind of close. Joe Burrow with his finger problems, I thought played really well. He threw a pick, but Jamar Chase practically caused that pick entirely on his own. It should have been a walk-in touchdown, but Jamar Chase literally caught it and threw it backwards to the other team so they could intercept it and take it the other way. His finger obviously affected how he was able to throw the ball, but he still delivered the goods for his football team. If Joe Mixon doesn't fumble the ball while they're down 2 driving the field, it might be a different football game. But after that play, obviously the Chargers they settled back down and they never let back up for the rest of the game.
Yeah, like basically, like you said, the Chargers, the Cincinnati Bengals shitted on themselves early, and then they shitted on themselves last.
Yes.
Now, in the middle of that, the Chargers were shitting on themselves for a little bit. Now, I will say, probably the best game this season from Justin Herbert, probably up there with the Cleveland and Pittsburgh game. So he got some really high highs. And I will say the number one thing that I see in that is that defensive-minded head coach, I feel like he's more reluctant to run a conservative type of offense. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how that goes on for them. Their offensive coordinator is just a regular offensive coordinator guy. So we'll see if they get a better guy there, or if that guy steps up like Brian Daboll did when he first came in. But Justin Herbert clearly made the throw of the probably week on the 50, 60-yard bomb to Guyton all the way across the field, which shows that that's going to be their offense. Like, that's his best trait. So they're going to have to open that up and do that. And it's risky because jump balls are going to be risky, but that's got to be a part of their offense. We'll say Herbert also had an interception that I believe should have got caught that turned into a pick, kind of like the Jamar Chase interception. So receivers really not helping quarterbacks here. Joe Burrow probably played the best of any quarterback we've seen with the pinky, but luckily I saw Drew Brees talking about it. Like that's probably the third ranked finger that would affect them. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that holds up after, we saw the swelling. It looked very bad, and we'll see how it goes after playing on it for another half.
And he somehow is going to get to avoid having his name brought up, but Austin Eckler. You're lucky.
I forgot all.
You're lucky because you almost single-handedly let single-handedly let Cincinnati back in the game.
He was shitting on himself.
Yeah. And you said Chargers. No, the answer was Austin Eckler.
I forgot.
So he should thank Joe Mixon for putting that ball on the ground and practically ending the game.
Yeah. So 5 turnovers are all 5 of the worst turnovers you probably would have seen, and you should expect that when you have two young teams that are talented but very young, inexperienced going at it. So it actually makes sense that we saw 5 of the most sloppiest turnovers you'll probably see all season. And as for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they've been inconsistent and they're in a tougher division. But as for the Chargers, they're in a tough division, so they needed this wins too. So it's a bloodbath in the AFC North and AFC West.
AFC in general.
Eric, how you feel about this game?
Yeah. Justin Herbert was great. 3 touchdowns. That's what you need. But the Mixon fumble literally killed me. I literally lost the will to even
So
follow.
Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, he fumbled and they scooped it up and they took it to the crib and ended the game. Joe Burrow did have that bad red zone turnover.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But explosive game for T. Higgins, 9 catches, 138 and a touchdown. It's crazy how, like, you just see, like, I feel like Joe Burrow tells the receiver before, yo, I'm feeding you today. Because there's always just one guy that just has outrageous numbers, and then the other guys are way down.
Zach Taylor's doing his job.
Yeah.
Now he has a lot of parts to do his job with, but hey, if we're gonna throw shade when he sucked when they weren't healthy and banged up,
gotta give him credit.
Gotta give him credit. He saved his job. Him and Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah. But yeah, just a blowout. I think. I mean, the Chargers were leading wire to wire this whole game, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Surprising to see the West Coast team come in and just dominate like that.
Exactly. That was part of my thought process with them being my lock.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. Never mind. This was the biggest blowout of the game of the week. Rams hosting the Jaguars, and they win 37-7.
It's not a whole lot to say here. The Jags are pathetic. They're the worst team in the league, probably, especially now Detroit won a game. So
Jags won too.
Jags did win too, but Jags are definitely in the conference. They're in the 30s if you're ranking them in terms of their team rank. They're in the 30s. LAR needed this desperately after they're getting their asses handed to them 3 straight weeks. This is a nice. I think we all said this is a nice cushiony pill to land on to get their confidence back. Cooper Kupp was right back to doing Cooper Kupp things, over 100 yards, touchdown. Odell Beckham Jr. got to the end zone. Van Jefferson, Sony Michel had a good game. The offense was just clicking on all cylinders. The defense didn't give up anything, so offense has been anemic for a long period, all season. And just a bounce back win for the Rams. They got this one out the way. Now they can go. Now they have a real showdown with the Cardinals on Sunday.
Yeah, I guess for Detroit to win this week, all the other bad teams have to get mouthwashed. Because other than Detroit winning, all the bad teams just showed up, got beat. Jacksonville sucks. Bottom 5, everything.
Yes.
Except for maybe pass rush.
They're a mediocre run defense and they're a mediocre run offense.
They got some things. They got some things in the trenches. And other than that, bottom 5 everywhere else. While the Rams still have top 10 at like 7 positions.
It's a clear mismatch. Clear mismatch. There's no reason for this game to even be played.
Yeah, no contest. No contest from start to finish. And Jacksonville, man, I wonder how things are going to be for Urban Meyer.
And he's gotten his distractions out of the way, and we focused on other things. So he's gotten hidden away, even though Jacksonville looks more and more pathetic as the weeks go by.
I mean, this game, with how sad their running game was, makes me really wish they had Travis Etienne.
I'm sure they do too. They just put a first-round pick into him. That probably hurts the most.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that would help Trevor immensely. I think having a guy in the backfield he knows he can trust and he's familiar with.
Brings catch.
Yeah, and it makes Trevor more comfortable, which is all that you want and need for your rookie quarterback. So that's a shame, but we'll see you next year, Travis. And Sony Michel. I mean, Sony Michel was really good today. 24 rushes.
Got them in the first round.
Yeah, 121 yards and a touchdown. That's a good complementary piece for their passing game. And Cooper Kupp is still a cheat code. Moving on, we will go to Las Vegas, where Washington came in and edged them out 17-15.
Second straight week, Washington football team wins the game exactly 17-15 on the last play of the game. Don't know how you make it up. That's just what they do. Washington's riding high right now. They've won 3 in a row. They beat the Bucks, the Seahawks, and the Raiders, all teams all games they could have lost, and they went out there and got the job done. They've really found this groove of just the methodical clock-killing offense where they just run, convert on third down. They do it better than anybody in the league right now. It's allowed them to have multiple every game they seem to have a long 10-minute quarter-killing drive that ends in a touchdown. That really gives them control of the game. Their defense has really picked it up. It was outstanding in this one. The Raiders couldn't run the ball at all. De'Aaron Payne popped off the screen. He was in the backfield all day long. The secondary for Washington held up well, especially down the stretch. The no PI call at the end of the game was debatable. By the way, the Washington football team defense showed up and showed out, and the offense is doing just enough. For the Raiders, after they upset the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, they kind of went back into their tailspin. Obviously, no Darren Waller makes things harder.
Still lots of penalties for them.
Still lots of penalties for them. They obviously, like I said, they didn't get the penalty at the end of the game
and still no good penalties
to allow them to steal the game. But the Raiders didn't play well enough to win the game, so they did.
They're tail spinning. They just got to blow that. It's time for them to blow that all up after everything that's occurred this year. Wow. Do they keep Mayo?
I wouldn't, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, just get rid of everything there. That's just somehow the Raiders find a way to blow it up more often without ever billing to anything. They're like Jacksonville. But we've seen Jacksonville be good a couple times while the Raiders have just been tail spinning for what seems like eternity. And yeah, bad Raiders. And as for Washington, I underestimated how good their offensive line would be. I don't.
It's performing very well.
I think they cut their right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name again? Moses. And they traded for Eric Flowers, and they've lost Trent Williams, but yet the pieces they inserted are working. It sucks that Chase Young and Montez Sweat both look like they won't be coming back for the rest of the season.
The Sweat might be back on Sunday. So Sweat might be back. Obviously, no Chase Young.
But yeah, to lose Chase Young, like this team probably could have been something if their offense had found this groove early in the season, which begs the question, why even spend money on Ryan Fitzpatrick? You probably could have spent that money on a player that you could use now.
Yeah.
Maybe a bigger name receiver like a Kenny Golladay to go with Terry McLaurin. Or another corner. They look like their secondary still poor.
They spent it on the defense. They spent it on corner.
Well, the $14 million they gave to Fitzpatrick, that's him. That's another player.
Yeah, that's right.
So I do believe that Washington will make the playoffs because I have to stand by my two teams from the NFC East making the playoffs prediction. And everything's in front of them to even win a division if they get lucky. I don't know if they will, but they put themselves in position. And Taylor Heineke, go to you.
I mean, yeah, Taylor Heineke's playing great. Are they on a 4-game win streak right now? 4?
I think it's 3.
I think they won before.
They beat the Bucks. No, they lost to the Broncos. Then they beat the Bucks, the Seahawks, and the Raiders. Unless there's a game in there I'm missing. Yeah, they're riding hot right now.
Yeah, but Taylor Heineke's doing great. Definitely doing better than what they thought they were going to get out of him. But I think it's all on Antonio Gibson. I mean, if he's doing great, that gives another element to Heineke. I mean, if he has a safety blanket and Antonio Gibson to get the ball to.
Oh, yeah. They did beat.
It's 4. It's 4. We forgot
Carolina.
They beat Carolina.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't believe I forgot that. But, yeah, I mean, I just think keep getting Curtis Samuel involved. I mean, I don't understand why he's still not – Adam Humphrey should not have more targets than Curtis Samuel.
He's been dealing with a muscle injury all year, so he isn't practiced, and he's been hurt 2 different times. So it's hard to get him. It's really hard to get him involved.
And he's really been more of a gadgety receiver, and Washington doesn't run a gadgety offense. So he has to learn how to win in a different way than he was winning before.
Which is why someone like a Logan Thomas just comes back, popping back into a traditional offensive type of offense. He don't miss a beat. But yeah, they clearly need some better offensive coaching.
Oh yeah.
But as for Vegas, Derek Carr had a rough one. I mean, no touchdowns. It's brutal. It's brutal for him.
That's a roller coaster. You want to talk about roller coaster players? That's the roller coaster you're riding. He's got 6 games over 300 yards, wins. 6 games over 300 yards, losses.
Yep.
And somehow Hunter Renfrow is just getting it done on the NFL level. Probably
he's Julian Edelman.
Yeah, just about.
Hunter Renfrow, the man who caught the pass from Michael Jordan in football in the national championship game
to beat Alabama.
That seems so long ago.
So let's keep it moving. We'll go to probably the most exciting game of the weekend. Pittsburgh hosting Baltimore. Steelers hold on at the end to win 20-19.
What was exciting about it? What?
It was classic AFC North playoff environment, sludge and grudge football.
It's the most overhyped rivalry.
That's exactly, but it's the
No,
rivalry.
Only the Bears and Packers is more overrated.
That's way more.
rivalry.
That's
number one.
At least Pittsburgh and Baltimore, they go back and forth. Both sides get W's in that rivalry.
I bet you if you look at the numbers, Pittsburgh's probably.
Well, I mean, yeah, because Pittsburgh's ahead on everybody. But like, in our recent memory, we can remember both sides getting the job done. For Pittsburgh, this is probably Ben's best game of the season. This is his last hurrah. He went against Baltimore. He after the report came out that he's
that Chargers game.
Yeah, after the report came out that he was going to be done after this year. He went out there and he put on a really, really good performance. The receiver Deontay Johnson had an outstanding performance. He did a good job getting all the receivers involved as well. And their offense did just enough. But we know where Pittsburgh's money is made. It's on the defensive end. TJ Watt, he should be a DPOY candidate. He's on pace to break the sack record if he can stay healthy at the end of the year. He's been absolutely fantastic. And when he plays and when he's right, he can single-handedly wreck your offense, and it opens up everything else for the Steelers' ability to play on defense. That's when they start forcing the turnovers, and they made Lamar Jackson's life a living hell. For Baltimore, Lamar and their offense looks like how it looked when he was a rookie. It's just like he seems to be questioning where the ball needs to go, that he's throwing in rhythm the way he was early on in the year. He's holding the ball more. And we know he's going to be able to be dynamic with his legs, but they don't really have another complement on top of that to really scare you. So if Lamar doesn't beat you single-handedly with his legs, you can handle the Ravens offense. And then defensively, they're just down so many bodies. We saw that Marlon Humphrey's out for the season with the pec. Obviously, they've been missing Marcus Peters. At some point, the injuries just become too much to overcome. Baltimore is still on like a 2 seed, I think, in the AFC somehow, some way. But it's just they gotta keep fighting through the injury bug. It's coming for them the hardest.
I mean, luckily for them, a lot of those teams that were behind them played each other. So only Kansas City and the Chargers made up a game, and they're in the same division, so they can't pass Baltimore. But because of these injuries, like we said, I just don't see Baltimore overcoming these injuries with that type of offense. It's decayed a little. Like, what am I missing the word right here? It's
stalled.
It's stalled, to say the least. And so all the questions about Greg Roman, his job will be back on the line again, because his job gets put on the line every year. And I mean, they got the weapons. I thought Marquise Brown has been nicked up in and out along with Bateman. But Baltimore's Baltimore, so their coaching and their culture will get them to the playoffs at worst case. Hopefully, they're in a tough division, so we'll find that out later. And as for Pittsburgh, I just don't know how Pittsburgh wins these games. I just don't know how Pittsburgh wins these games. Ben looked good, but the definition of Ben looking good now is not Ben looking good.
Pittsburgh doesn't have a bad roster. They just got a bad quarterback. That's it. It's just a bad quarterback. O-line's not great, but O-line they're not going to be good in the run game at all. But pass protection wise, they've given Ben a little bit more time to chuck the ball as far as you can.
Yeah, and this rivalry, this rivalry, they're not classic. They're not giving us classics anymore.
It's ever going to be 2019 is what you're going to get from Pittsburgh, Baltimore most of the time.
Not even no Troy Polamalu splash plays.
There's no Troy Polamalu out there.
But yeah, I mean, what I take away from the Ravens offense, at least, is Devontae Freeman showed an explosion, like a burst that I haven't seen since his Atlanta years.
He did surprisingly look really good. I agree with that. That's a good observation. I saw that because he was on our team last year and he wasn't that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Lamar can throw that 2-point conversion better, but that's one of his gripes is accuracy. And if he hits Mark Andrews in the numbers, that they win the ball game. So as for the Steelers, yeah, it was Big Ben, probably his best game of the year.
Chargers game, he was killing it in that Chargers game.
But they were getting blown out. Most of that was it. Most of that was garbage time. Like, he was good for a full 4 quarters in this game. So we gotta give him credit.
Okay, I can take that argument. I can take that one. I agree with that now.
But yeah, Pittsburgh's not one of those teams I'd want to face because of their defense. I mean, they can take it away. They just cause havoc. So good for Pittsburgh. Playing spoiler in week 13. All right, so let's keep it moving. I think we're on one more 4 o'clock slate. Seahawks hosting the 49ers. Seahawks win 30-23.
The NFC West game of musical chairs continues, and the Seahawks continue their ownership over the San Francisco 49ers. It never seems to matter who's out there, what's the stakes of the game, who's healthy, who's not. The Seahawks beat the 49ers, and they did it again here. Russell Wilson finally started looking like himself. Sees like another week off of the surgery, off the injury. I seen they got him his rhythm back. So that he was able to move the ball up and down the field again. And it was just huge. They scored 30 points on the San Francisco defense that have been playing decently recently. Their ability to just be able to get up, and then our defense did enough to hang on late, was the big advantage for them. For San Fran, Jimmy Garoppolo had a decent stretch of football. He was trash in this one. He was really, really bad.
He wasn't really. He picked it up in the end.
He picked it up in the end. I think George Kittle picked it up in the end. But he did a good job putting him in a position to try to tie the game late. Obviously, no Deebo Samuel is a huge loss for the Niners. He was the engine driving their offense. But George Kittle picked up the slack, and he had an outstanding game. They didn't get Brandon Ayuk as involved as you think they could have. Elijah Mitchell was good. Offensively, they played fine, but their quarterback just didn't play as well as Russell Wilson played.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo losing to Russell Wilson. I mean, we all picked San Francisco.
I picked Seattle.
I picked Seattle to cover too. Yeah. Shit, yeah, damn. I mean, we expected it. I mean, it's hard to win in Seattle with Russell Wilson playing quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, we'll say Adrian Peterson sighting in the end zone. Now, we've seen him score touchdowns for the Seahawks, Titans, Washington football team, and Lions. He's going to keep tacking on these teams. And it was a classic Seahawks versus 49ers game, which is a better rivalry than the one we were prior talking to. We've seen lots of great games, lots of fireworks. Jimmy Garoppolo was playing terribly in the first half, but we saw him get a connection going. His guy, George Kittle. And George Kittle had probably his best game of the season. Best game probably a couple of years.
Seasons. Yeah, he was fantastic.
Just outright dominant. Looks healthy. Hopefully he can stay healthy because it's enjoyable to watch George Kittle. He brings a special skill set to the tight end position. Reminds me of a Jeremy Shockey type of player. And as for the Seahawks defense, it's still bad.
It's okay. They got nothing in the secondary, obviously, even though they gave up 2 first-round picks for a secondary player. But Wagner and Brooks and those guys in that front seven can slow down the run well enough, which is what San Francisco's strength is. If those guys are making all the tackles in the run game, they can hold up well enough.
And luckily for San Francisco, the NFC is so bad that they will probably not be effective in the playoff race.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm saying this for almost every game, but Seattle should not have outrushed San Francisco by 75 yards. That's a problem, especially for Kyle Shanahan and his system and how pathetic the Seattle running game is. You should not be outrushed by 75 yards, which I think is the absolute difference in this game because Kyle Shanahan needs his running game going for his offense to click.
That's what happens when you're playing from behind. You can't get behind from bad quarterback play.
Yeah, and also, like, penalties, they had 10 penalties for 86 yards compared to Seattle's 6 for 40. I mean, those are the type of things that cost you games. And 49ers are still in the thick of it. I mean, they're definitely not out by any stretch of the imagination, but they definitely wish they could have that one back. All right, moving on to the Sunday night football game, Kansas City hosting Denver. Kansas City wins 22-9.
It looked like the same Kansas City we've been watching over the past month. Their defense has been outstanding. And
I was telling you from the start.
They had the answers. I said they had the answers on their roster. They plugged in Juan Thornhill. They plugged in Willie Gay. They
traded for
Melvin Ingram. They moved Chris Jones back inside. They made the interior. They made the interior options that they had to make their defense better. It's definitely improved. Although I think it's been some circumstances that allowed it to happen, but it's definitely improved. Although they did get ran all over by Javonte Williams, but Teddy Bridgewater just wasn't good enough to be able to punch it in. Offensively, Kansas City looked like Kansas City. They did an offense that struggles to move the ball, but they can muster it enough. They can muster it up enough for like 2 or 3 drives in the game that allow them to score more points than their opponents been able to over the last month against that defense. I still don't really know what to think about Kansas City, but right now they could easily end up with the 1 seed in the AFC and the playoffs running through their building, and their offense could easily just pick it back up. So right now, Kansas City, after a mid-season swoon, an early season swoon, looks like they're right back into their groove a bit defensively. Offensively, they're going to have to find answers for the cover 2 shell, but they're still managing to win games, and they're always going to be the most dangerous team in the AFC because they have the best player.
I mean, it's just weird. These are the games with the Chiefs. These are the Chiefs games now. We get. I mean,
it's not fun.
The Broncos were no contest. Probably another bad Teddy Bridgewater game.
Mm-hmm.
Another just bad, just bad all around. Some bad turnovers. The Broncos are just been running. They're where Atlanta is. They've just been running in place since their last Super Bowl appearance, just going nowhere, just putting makeup on a pig for their team, kind of like the Giants have been doing for a few years. So it's tough. They'll probably need to blow it up, but they have so many young guys and so many good veterans. Who knows? And as for Kansas City, it's tough to just watch a game where they just don't do much on offense except check it down or run it. So teams have neutralized their explosiveness. They got Josh Gordon out there, and he's not Josh. Like, we're talking about 2021 Josh Gordon.
Yeah, it's been years. It's been years.
And I just don't know what to say. I mean, they're in the thick of things. So Kansas City is a hard place to win. So if they get a division, if they have to play a couple playoff games in their building, they could easily be going to the Super Bowl. And I think that matchup against the Chargers is really going to come down to determine how successful the season this Kansas City team has, because both teams are one game apart. I think they're only a game up, or they're a full game, or they're tied. They can't be tied.
I think the Chargers have 5 losses.
Yeah, they can't be tied.
Only have 4. So
Yeah,
I think the Chiefs are the top of that division.
Yeah, the Chiefs are the 4 seed, Chargers are the 5 seed.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the Chargers are 7-5, Chiefs are 8-4.
Mhm.
So they can't. They're not going to have a good season if they have to go to the wild card. But where they are right now, everything's in front of them to be the 1 seed even.
Yep.
So good on to them. They got a big matchup against Pittsburgh coming up. It's not going to be easy.
I mean, I'm kind of impressed with Kansas City. I mean, they're finding different ways to win other than just blowing people out and saying our offense is better than your defense. I mean, to win a game that Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw for a touchdown, I mean, that's pretty hard.
Third time in the last 6 games, he has to throw a touchdown pass.
He's developed those Tom Brady skills.
And yet they win the game.
He's developed those Tom Brady skills. The Mac Jones skills.
I mean, yeah, they did a good job on guarding Kelsey and Hill. But Darrell Williams just gashed them for a good amount, and they just got the job done. I mean, against the Broncos, you don't need to score too many points. So, and this defense is getting better. This Kansas City defense is getting better. I think they haven't allowed more than 10 points in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely rounding into shape right now. As for the Broncos,
lastly, I'll spotlight Patrick Surtain, because it's clearly going. He's the only person that has a puncher's chance of winning DPOY. He did have a great interception, another good game. He's looking at least he's playing. Unlike
He'll be a nice runner-up,
except for J.C. Horn. At least he's playing unlike J.C. Horn.
all right. Can't blame the man for breaking his foot.
That happens, but it sucks that he's not playing.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like Teddy Bridgewater throwing it 40 times. That's not a recipe for success at all. All right, let's move on to the Monday Night Football game where Mac Jones led the Patriots to a 14-10 victory.
Eric, you called it right on the money. You said Bill Belichick was going to bring the weather machine.
Yeah.
He was going to cause stuff for the Bills offense, and they was going to win the game with defense. And that's exactly what happened. They said that we don't even need the passing game to beat y'all. We're not even going to use it.
Yeah, we're just going to take away yours.
We're just going to shut yours down, and we're just going to run. I was telling Isaiah the whole game, no, Isaiah, they're just going to run this. They're the latest down all day, and they don't need this. They got up, and they didn't need to score to win the rest of the game. They knew they were good. Bill Belichick had the game plan. The wind was whipping like crazy, and it's just this is what Bill does. If there was a third MVP candidate between the 2 old quarterbacks, it should be Bill Belichick, because that's the kind of performance he's putting on out here. He's done it again. He's fooled y'all again. He's back again. It's gonna be a real problem for Buffalo. This just continues a trembling trend of them not really handling other good teams well. They do it when when they see Houston, when they see Jaguars, when they see the Jets, they look amazing. They did get early swoon season. Kansas City, they did blow them out, but outside of that impressive victory, they've looked pretty pedestrian over the last 2 months. Pretty up and down and inconsistent. They need to start picking it back up. I mean, if you want to defend Buffalo in your turn, go ahead, defend Buffalo. I'm just saying, like, this is a team that they're supposed to have a number 1 offense and a number 1
an obituary notice.
I'm not saying an obituary notice. I'm just saying they're supposed to have a number 1 offense and a number 1 defense, and it's been all right. They've looked okay. I wanted against the better competition. outside of the Kansas City game, of course, they haven't looked very impressive. It's just this is a team they're supposed to be the favorite in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl, and they aren't playing up to that standard right now.
But I've always said that they were never my favorite, and they really weren't. They're a favorite because of their quarterback and defense. But we found out that they threw the run game out of football. The Buffalo Bills don't believe in run game on offense or defense.
But that's why Josh Allen gets to put up those numbers. They don't run the ball. Josh Allen runs the ball. Josh Allen throws the ball.
But just because you don't run the ball doesn't mean you can build your team to never stop that no one else loves run the ball.
Yeah.
And what we found out is they can't stop the run. So they're probably not winning any Super Bowl. I practically can guarantee that now because we saw with Green Bay, a weak run defense is the easiest way to get beat unless Josh Allen just Superman performance them through games. But which, things happen. That's kind of what Patrick Mahomes did a couple years back. But they got shredded by Derrick Henry, got shredded by Jonathan Taylor, and Bill Belichick gave him a classic this week. As for Bill, whatever. I mean, he's the hoodie.
This is what Bill do.
And I don't have to. The Bills are clearly mad because we saw how their coaches reacted, how their two safeties have reacted. They did not enjoy last night's game. They didn't enjoy the performance or the game. They
said, "What kind of question is it? Embarrassing. What kind of question is that?"
Oh yeah, it was embarrassing.
I was the guy asking about that.
They just look like they couldn't stop the run because their defense is small.
Yeah.
Which that's a problematic thing. Like we say for the Chargers, you have to be able to stop the run, no matter how pass heavy this NFL gets. The easiest way to get beat teams will still always try you, as Woody says. Everybody loves a second and long run. Still, teams are going to try to run the ball because it's just too easy. So if they find out it's easy to do, you're not going to win. So you got to stop the run to force teams to pass.
The Bills have shown a fatal flaw, and
Bill Belichick
and Bill Belichick.
You don't show Bill Belichick.
It's going to see that and take you right out. They take you right out of the game.
Bought the water machine to neutralize your passing game, sacrifice his passing game.
Didn't need it,
and then ran the ball on your defense because we're not passing today. So that's tough for Buffalo. And as for New England, I guess I'll say this: if the playoffs in the AFC run through New England,
yes.
I've seen that before. You're gonna get these type of games. So AFC teams, please
step up.
We don't need to see 3 games played in New England or 1 or 2 games played in New England in the playoffs. We don't. With Mac Jones at quarterback. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick saw the weather and was like, "W, this is what I need." Those weather conditions obviously hurt the Bills more than the Patriots. And this also showed how the running game for the Bills is just abysmal. I mean, they don't commit to it.
It's called Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, the wins were in the 30s, and they still threw the ball 30 times.
It was bad. It was bad all day.
Like I don't understand how they go out there, see the weather, feel the weather, and go, yeah, we're still throwing the ball 30 times.
It's what they do. Y'all like those Josh Allen numbers, right? Those Josh Allen numbers look so amazing, right?
Now I will say
they throw the ball every time.
There were 2 touchdowns, one specifically in the hands of Stephon Diggs, who's on my fantasy.
It never
team.
hit his hands. It hit his elbow.
He alligator armed it because he must not known that the wind was taking the ball anywhere. So yeah, and then Knox got strapped, but yeah, he got strapped. He said he apologized after the game.
A lot of professional athletes apologizing this year for poor performances.
But continue, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just comes down to the explosive Damian Harris run. I mean, that's the difference in the ball game, that one touchdown. So, and it's beautiful to go for 2. Bill Belichick runs different math. So yeah, his calculator 1 + 1 = 3, and it checks out. So, good job for the Pats. I mean, this is huge for them for the 1 seed. And the division. If they can win the division, everyone thought the Bills were going to run through this division. So, thank you, Patriots, for making it exciting.
Exactly.
I mean, again, lastly, clearly the players were mad because the defense. They gave up 14 points.
I mean, you saw that whether they were playing in 14 points was too many. They gave up too many.
Which in the end just came down to 1 run. But that's the last game. So MVP ranking times. Somebody's gonna get this award.
Yeah. I guess I can get it started. At 3, this could be anybody. I'm gonna show some love to a wide receiver named Cooper Kupp. because he's on pace to have 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. And if he pulls off a performance like that as a man carrying the best passing offense in the league, I think he deserves some love. He's making all the catches.
No, Odell.
People complain about Odell. People complain, but they don't have the best passing offense. That's the Tampa Bay Bucks have that, but Cooper Kupp has the best numbers. His numbers are just ridiculous. At number 2, I'm going to slide down Aaron Rodgers. It's a shame that he didn't play this week, but unfortunately, number 1 is becoming very, very clear as we get into the later months in the season. And his name is Tom Brady. He's back again. He's got the best numbers by far. His team's about to be the 1 seed in the NFC.
Oh, they're at 3 right now.
Yeah, they're at 3, but like they're gonna. I think they have tiebreaker over Green Bay in terms of conference status right now. We'll see if Arizona hangs on to.
Yeah, they're only 1 game back to the 1 seed.
They're only 1 game back. They're right there.
Moody's already crowning them. Like,
no, this is defending champions. They've been crowned already.
No, that was for 2020.
They won that title in 2021. They've been crowned
that was
already.
For last season. We crowned this season champion in February.
They're 9-3. Tom Brady's leading the league in passing yards. He's leading the league in touchdown passes. He's fantastic, man. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. And the Antonio Brown thing doesn't seem to matter. Now, has Tom gotten a chance to pass some numbers up in some games? Yes. There's been some up and down moments for the Bucks, yes, but right now they're riding hot. His numbers are better than anybody's, and he'll probably win the MVP barring a major slide.
Okay. So at 3, I'll go with Moody went with a non-quarterback. I'll also go with a non-quarterback, but I'm gonna go for a guy who's clearly carrying his unit. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Taylor at 3. He just needs to make the playoffs somehow. We'll see how that breaks. They got to go against Pittsburgh, got to beat out Cincinnati and or Baltimore. So that AFC's wild. At 2, I'm gonna go with Matthew Stafford again. He'll be my Ram representative, the guy that's throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp, and had a nice pad the stat game against Jacksonville.
Stat pad.
Got to pat him up. And at 1, I will go with Aaron Rodgers, even though I do not believe he will win the MVP.
You're insane for not having Tom Brady in your top 3. You hate
He's not the MVP. And I'm not putting him over Stafford because Stafford beat him. So I'm going to keep holding that. I'm going to keep holding his feet to the fire for that one. I'm going to hold out that Stafford wins this game against the Cardinals, and that gets his last little launching point. There's hope. There's method. There's a method to this madness.
Yeah, so I'm going to go the same 3 as you, Isaiah. I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I would be harping the Derrick Henry train if he was healthy.
So sad.
Yeah, and he's still 2nd in rushing, I think, which is nuts.
Yeah, which is how sad it is. he was already lapping people.
So, I'll go Jonathan Taylor 2, Aaron Rodgers 2nd, and that bad man TB12 number 1.
That bad man. That stat paddock maniac.
Hey man, 9-3, defending champions, leading the league in touchdowns, leading the league in passing yards. It's like, bro, like, what do you want to say? Damn, like, we don't want to give it to him, but like, the resume is the resume.
I want to give it to him.
Eric has motivation to give it to him. They're like, the resume is the resume, right? It's hard to argue the resume.
Okay. All right, though, Eric. We'll catch you.
Oh, man.